Good morning. So on Wednesdays, we usually read together. And even though we can't read together today, I'm going to read you a story. And when we read together, we always think about those strategies that we use to help us to understand stories better. So there's a lot of different things that we do when we read to understand what the author is trying to tell us about, to understand what's important in a story and what's not as important in a story. So today we're going to be reading an informational text story, which means that it's a nonfiction story. It's going to tell us about something real. It's going to tell us true facts about a real topic. When we talk about the topic of a story, we're talking about what the story is all about. So the topic of the story is like the whole thing that the story is all about, what it's teaching you. And then the main ideas in the story are the most important things about the topic. So a story will have one big thing that it's all about, one topic that it's all about. And then it will have some main ideas that tell the most important things about the topic. And then it has details even underneath that main idea. Each main idea has details that tell more about that one specific thing. So today we're going to read a nonfiction story, an informational text story that tells about real things. And as we go, we're going to be thinking about main ideas and details. So each section kind of has a different main idea or a different thing that's important and then details that tell more about it. So as we go, the best way for me when I'm trying to think about main idea and detail, I like to keep track of it in like a graphic organizer, which is a good way for you to kind of organize your thoughts on a story or organize what you're reading, the information. So as we go, we're going to kind of make a graphic organizer for each of the sections, and we're going to think about the main idea and the details that go with it. So this is a story called Superstorms, and it's an informational text story, which means that it's a nonfiction story. It tells about true facts. As we go, we're going to be thinking about the main ideas. So the topic is actually, obviously about superstorms. This is going to be a story about storms and different kinds of storms. It's by Seymour Simon, and it has some really cool photographs to show some of the different kind of storms that we see. So as we go, we're going to be thinking about the main idea that goes along with that topic. The topic is superstorms. So the air around us, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see the words better on each page after you see the picture. Okay, there we go. The air around us is always moving and changing. We call these changes weather. Storms are sudden, violent changes in weather. So there's our topic. Storms are sudden, violent changes in weather. Every second, hundreds of thunderstorms are born around the world. Thunderstorms are heavy rain showers. They can drop millions of gallons of water in just 1 minute. So if we want to have our graphic organizer and we want to start it, we're going to say this is all about superstorms. That's the topic of this story, superstorms, right? And this section is about thunderstorms. So thunderstorms is the main idea of this section. Thunderstorms. And then maybe one of the details about thunderstorms is that they can drop millions of gallons of water in 1 minute. So that's a detail about thunderstorms. So our topic is that these superstorms is what we're going to be reading about. That's what this is all about. The main idea of the first section is thunderstorms. That's the most important part about that. And one of the details that it told us about thunderstorms is that they can drop millions of gallons of water in 1 minute. All right, let's see what the next section is all about. Ooh, look at that picture. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it really good. During a thunderstorm, lightning bolts can shoot between clouds and the ground. Lightning can destroy a tree or a small house. It can also start fires in forests and grasslands. Thunder is the sound the lightning makes as it suddenly heats the air. You can tell how far away lightning is. Count the seconds between the flash of light and the sound of thunder. 5 seconds equal 1 mile. That's so interesting, isn't it? All right, so we're still talking about thunderstorms, right? And another detail that we might want to add to our graphic organizer is that lightning bolts shoot between clouds and the ground. That's a detail about thunderstorm, that sometimes in thunderstorms we see lightning bolts shoot between clouds and the ground. Another detail we might want to add is about thunder. So thunder is the sound lightning makes. So if our topic is superstorms, our first main idea is thunderstorms. And some of the details about thunderstorms are that they can drop millions of gallons of water in 1 minute. Lightning bolts shoot between clouds and the ground. Thunder is the sound that lightning makes. All right, let's see what else this is going to tell us about superstorms. Hailstones are chunks of ice that are tossed up and down by the winds of some thunderstorms. Hail can be the size of a marble or larger than a baseball. Nearly 5,000 hailstorms strike the United States every year. They can destroy crops and damage buildings and cars. Thunderstorms sometimes give birth to tornadoes. Inside a storm, a funnel-shaped cloud reaches downward. Winds inside a tornado can spin faster than 300 miles per hour. These winds can lift cars off the ground and rip houses apart. Okay, so we were talking about thunderstorms, and now we're talking about tornadoes. So another main idea in this story is that another superstorm can be a tornado. And then we could find a couple of details about the tornadoes. It tells us that tornadoes are funnel-shaped clouds. So that's a detail about a tornado, that it's funnel-shaped. Tornadoes are funnel-shaped clouds. We could also say that tornadoes have winds that spin faster than 300 miles an hour. Wind spinning 300 miles per hour. So those are some details about tornadoes. Okay, now let's see what it tells us about tornadoes. It shows us this whole map of the United States and where we see tornadoes the most. More than 1,000 tornadoes strike the United States each year. Most of them form during spring and summer. Television and radio stations often give early alerts. A tornado watch means that one may strike during the next few hours. A warning means a tornado has been seen by people or on radar. During a tornado warning, you should find shelter in a basement or a closet. All right, so we're still talking about tornadoes here. That's another one of our superstorms. Our topic is superstorms. We heard about thunderstorms, and now we're hearing some more details about tornadoes. So we could add another detail. We could say more than 1,000 strike in the US each year. So there's another tornado detail. And this is a really interesting map. It just shows like where you see the most tornadoes throughout the middle of the United States there. Hurricanes are the deadliest storms in the world. They kill more people than all other storms combined. Hurricanes stretch for hundreds of miles. They have winds between 74 and 200 miles per hour. The eye of a hurricane is the quiet center of the storm. Inside the eye, the wind stops blowing, the sun shines, and the sky is blue. But beware, the storm is not over yet. Okay, so that would be next on our graphic organizer here. We have thunderstorms, tornadoes, and the next one will be hurricanes, because that's another type of superstorm. So hurricanes will be our next main idea, because they're another type of superstorm. And we learned a few details about hurricanes. It says they're the deadliest storms. And they have winds between 74 and 200 miles per hour. So hurricanes are the next main idea. We had thunderstorms, tornadoes, And now we're looking at hurricanes. And look at that picture of that hurricane. Isn't that crazy? Hurricanes are born over warm ocean waters from early summer to mid-fall. When they finally reach land, their pounding waves wash away beaches, boats, and houses. Their howling winds bend the uproot trees and telephone poles. Their heavy rains cause floods. Blizzards are huge snowstorms. They have winds of at least 35 miles per hour. Usually at least 2 inches of snow falls per hour. Temperatures are at 20 degrees or lower. Falling and blowing snow make it hard to see in a blizzard. Look at that. It's a lot of snow. So our next main idea is blizzards. That's our next kind of superstorm. And it tells us they're huge snowstorms. That would be a detail about blizzards. Huge snowstorms. Okay. Temperatures are at 20 degrees or lower. So the temperature at 20 degrees or lower. So there's a couple good blizzard details. Huge snowstorms, temperature at 20 degrees or lower. No one can prevent storms, but weather reports can predict and warn us when a storm may hit. The more prepared we are, the safer we will be when the next one strikes. All right. So as we went through the story, we were looking at, I'm going to zoom out so you can see all of this at the same time. We were looking at our topic. Our topic was what the story was all about. It was all about superstorms. That was what this whole story was about. And each section had a different main idea, which is like the most important thing about the topic. So thunderstorms. And then they told us all of these details that told us more about thunderstorms. And then they talked about tornadoes. And they told us all of these details that told us more about tornadoes. And then they talked about hurricanes and told us these details about hurricanes. And the last superstorm was blizzards, and they told us some details about blizzards. So as we're reading, we always want to be thinking about those details that tell more about the main idea. We want to be thinking about the topic, what the story is all about, especially when we're reading a nonfiction or an informational text story. So this was a story that actually taught us real facts about superstorms, and organizing our information this way really helped me to figure out what was important for me to know. What were the things that the author really wanted to tell me about superstorms? And what type of superstorms did the author really want me to know about? So whenever you're reading these informational texts, thinking about the topic, the main idea, and the details is really, really important.